Hi, I'm Leanne Tupo, and it's my second year in the district. Proud to be at Sunset Elementary.
Thank you, Leanne. Stacy Cho. Stacy, take it away.
Hello, I'm Stacy Cho, principal of Beaver Lake Middle School, and this is my 9th year.
Thank you, Stacy. Carrie Reckling. Carrie, take it away.
Hi, Carrie Reckling, principal of Issaquah Middle School, and this is my 19th year in the district.
Thank you, Carrie. Erin McKee. Erin, take it away.
Hi there, I'm Erin McKee, the principal at Maywood. This is my 7th year, and I'm also the planning principal for Middle School 6.
Thank you, Erin. Jeff McGowan, take it away, Jeff.
Hi, everybody. Jeff McGowan, principal of Pacific Cascade Middle School, and this is my 17th year in the district.
Thank you, Jeff. And lastly, from our principal ranks, Michelle Caponegro. Michelle, take it away.
Thanks, Josh. I'm Michelle Caponegro, and I'm the principal at Pine Lake Middle School, and I have worked at Pine Lake for 23 years.
All right. Lots and lots of years through our ranks of our principals and with our parent reps as well. I've got a few more minutes here to stay on track. We're supposed to be done with this section at 6:25. I've got 3 minutes. So our technical team. What is a technical team, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you. We have folks that from our central office and from the district who are here to answer questions throughout the whole process from different departments. So I'd like to introduce them. So let's do that same thing. Name what you do in the district and the amount of time that you've been with us here in the ISD. Let's start with our Executive Director of Finance and Support, Martin Turney. Martin, take it away.
Hello, I'm Martin Turney. As you mentioned, Finance and Support Services, and I've been with the district total of 11 years.
Thank you, Martin. Susan Mundell. Susan, are you out there?
Hi, everybody. I'm Susan Mundell. I'm the Executive Director of Elementary Education, and I've been in the district for about 27 years.
And a little known fact, today is Susan's birthday. So if you get a chance later, say happy birthday to Susan.
Oh, what a great way to celebrate, Susan.
I can't think of a better way to celebrate one's birthday other than doing a boundary review committee on Zoom. So Susan, I'm very envious of you tonight. Let's go with Jason Morris. Jason, take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Almy. Jason Morris, Executive Director of Middle Schools. And sadly enough, or happily enough, I joined the 17-year in the district group, which puts me in place with Josh, Jake, Tara, and probably some others.
Yes, Jeff McGowan. Thank you, Jason. Is Donna Hood in the Zoom tonight? I can't remember if she was or wasn't. Donna, are you there? Donna's our Executive Director of High Schools. As you know, this is a K-8 boundary review, so she was not with us tonight. So let's move on to Dr. Dana Bailey. Dana, take it away.
Dana Bailey, Special Services at the district office. And this is either my 19th or 20th year. I don't know. This year feels like 2.
Somewhere in there. There you go. Tom Mullins, take it away.
Tom Mullins, Director of Capital Projects, 21 years.
Thank you, Tom. Colleen, Colleen, and I always want to try my best to pronounce anyone's last name that starts with an X. So I'm going to let you do that. Colleen, take it away.
Hi, I'm Colleen Zadaro, Director of Transportation, and I've been here with the district for 25 years.
Thank you, Colleen. And Bridget Anderson. Bridget, take it away.
Hi, I'm Bridget Anderson. I've been with Issaquah for 6 years, a total of 24 in the transportation field.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Bridget. That is our technical team.
One more, as we created the charter, we did not have an Executive Director of Communications, but we do now. So Alicia Engels, if you're.
I am here, yes. Hi, I'm Alicia Engels, Executive Director of Communications and Digital Strategy. This is my 11th year in Issaquah, but it's a longer time than that because I've left twice for opportunities and then boomeranging back. And this is actually my 3rd week in this position in communications. And so bear with me. I'm learning the ropes right now and hoping to improve that particular department throughout the district. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you everybody again for being a part of our group. Transitioning on, let's go over the agenda for tonight, just so we're all on the same page. So we just did our introductions. We were supposed to end at 6:25. I looked at the lower right-hand part of my screen. It says 6:25, so we're right on schedule. That's good. So I'm going to go over the agenda real quick. what the first thing we're going to jump into is we're going to go over our group operating norms and our charter. And Jake is going to do that here in just a second for us. So whenever we have a committee like this, we typically have a charter that is given to the group from the superintendent, and it outlines what our mission is, what we are to accomplish. And Jake is going to go over that charter in just a second. It's also posted on the website. After we go over our group norms and our charter, we're going to talk about how you are going to be getting throughout this process all of the community feedback during the process. We have a web address that the community can email into as they listen, as we are live streaming on YouTube, any type of feedback that they have. In the past, how this used to work was when you came into these committee meetings, there would be a 3-ring binder that would have all of the updated communications. It's a little bit harder to do that. We're going to explain how we're going to do that through this process. I'll take some time to do that after Jake shares the norms and whatnot. Then we're going to talk a little bit about how we plan to facilitate this process in a Zoom type format. Again, this is the first time that we've ever done a boundary review in a format like this. Jake and I and the technical team have talked at length about how we feel we can best do that, drawing on some of our experiences we've had over the last 9 months in facilitating some of these committees. So we'll talk about that so everybody understands why we would be going into breakout rooms or why we might be using the voting tabs and whatnot. So we've got some things in place that we're going to use, and we're going to try some of those out tonight as well. And then we are going to push folks into some breakout rooms. We have put folks into groups where we have done our very best to try to mix the groups the best we can with mixes of different parts of the district, the South End and the corridor and the plateau, and elementary folks and middle school folks and parent representatives and principal representatives. We've tried our very best to get the best mix that we can. And we've got 6 different groups. So we're going to push folks into groups, and we're going to give you a mission. And that mission, and we'll explain this later, but it's going to be to come up with a quorum. What is the minimum amount of people that we need to have in order to take a vote? So we'll explain that a little bit later. And also a percentage of passage threshold. What percentage do we need when we vote on different measures throughout this process for something to pass? We'll talk about that later when we get there, but we're going to give you a little bit of feedback on that, and then we're going to push you into those groups, and then groups are going to report back, and we might even give the voting tabs a shot tonight. So we're going to do that piece, and then we're really going to hand the ball over to Jake Cooper and some members of the technical team, and they are going to review our district enrollment and facility data. And then Jake and his team are going to go over a springboard proposal for boundaries. You got to start somewhere. You got to start this process somewhere. And Jake and his team and Colleen and Bridget, they've been working so hard to put together this springboard that will give us a starting point for our conversations. And then when we're done with that, we're going to overview our next meeting and talk about how we are going to jump into these conversations that are so important. So that's the agenda for tonight. Our plan is to start on time and end on time. Took us about 4 or 5 minutes to start tonight. We're going to get that cleaned up for next week as far as the different Zoom links and the YouTube live streaming. But we're going to do our very best to end at 8 o'clock tonight. It might be 8:05 or so, but we're going to do our very best to stick to that. So without further ado, let's keep rolling here. We're right on schedule. It's 8:29. We're supposed to start the next one at 8:30. CFO Cooper, Group Operating Norms and Charter Review. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Almy. It's always tough to follow Josh. I don't know if I should dial up the energy down or up. So I don't know if I could dial it up, but I always appreciate Dr. Almy's transition. So first things first, I'm going to share my screen with you. And then there's a few things that we haven't talked about, Dr. Almy, is we have a chat going now. We're going to have to decide, I think, as a committee, if we want to continue to utilize that chat or not. It can be distracting. And then on how we want to communicate if you have a question. So we usually use the raise hand function to monitor that. So a few things, and then we'll take feedback, of course, on everything throughout this process, but including how to facilitate Zoom better for you all. So we'll learn along together. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to share my screen. As Dr. Almy talked about, the goal of this committee and the chart, I want to let you first know is there's our landing page on the district website. It is under the banner, the Boundary Review 2021. And so for you all, normally I know I usually have different styles of learners. Some like hard copy, some like soft copy. Unfortunately, it's going to be all soft copy this time. So what you'll see here, and I want to get you to get familiar with this layout, and we'll go over the charter and the roster here shortly. You're familiar with the goals of the committee, which is obviously to provide boundaries for schools that are about to open. We were fortunate enough in April of 2016 for a community to pass a $535 million bond issue, and we are continuing to construct those facilities, acquired land. And this fall, we have 2 facilities opening, middle school 6 and elementary number 16. And then thereafter, we do not have firm opening dates yet for high school 4 and elementary 17, but that'll be approaching quickly. So that is why also another reason why the high school boundary is a separate process from this. Again, to acquaint yourself with the web page, the landing page, you'll have your charter roster. So you can see your fellow community members. Next meeting, you'll see there's a link to view the meeting. We'll send you a private agenda only for the membership, so we don't have to sort out who's going to come in and out on the Zoom link. And then we will live stream on YouTube. So, and then all the materials will be posted in our supporting materials right before every meeting. And occasionally, if you have a data request, I might send that, or my assistant might send that directly to you in between meetings. So if you're asking for, how many kids are in a certain piece, etc., we might get that to you in between meetings as well. But eventually it will all be posted on this site so that our community can see everything that you have worked through as a committee. Another thing I wanted to touch upon is probably thinking about the composition of the committee. Why is there so many principals on here? Why is there parents? So what we have learned over the years of boundary and committees like this is a few things. We start with a springboard proposal. The springboard proposal before you is just that. It's not perfect. It's our best thinking. We've actually know there's a few things we'd like you to fix that we should have caught in editing. And that'll be an example of how that'll work. The springboard proposal, what we'll do for operating norms is your voting as you go are to change the springboard. So when we get to the voting and the changing of boundaries, it'll be your actions that change that springboard design. So, and until then, the springboard has remained intact until the committee changes it. So the other thing that we have found is that a lot of the boundary process is, yes, it is numerical, operational, and financial, but is also emotional and cultural. So that's why we have principals and parents together, so that as we change and draw new boundaries, you start to acclimate yourself potentially to your new community and your new principal or your new feeder patterns. And as this process winds down and comes to a close, we have a lot of experience here. I've been fortunate on how to accept new families and communities into new schools or different schools in some cases. So that'll be part of the work as well that you'll be tasked with, along with soliciting feedback. And so feedback, as Dr. Almy talked about, we have an email set up. You will be able to see all the feedback. So the day prior or so, I think is our tentative plan. We will send you all the emails that are received through the BRC at issaquah.wednet.edu website or any other information that we get in the interim, so that you can use that information to inform your decision-making and voting processes. So it is a completely virtual process. And then I'm going to right now go to the charter, then unless there's any questions on the splash page itself. Dr. Almy, anything? Okay. So quick charter check. Obviously, this is a superintendent's committee. So this boundaries in the district currently are not a board of directors decision. There's not a vote by the board of directors to approve the boundaries. They fall under the superintendent's authority. He will and does plan on bringing to the board, obviously, for public display and discussion with the board of directors. But currently, the authority to redraw the boundaries falls with the superintendent. So that is why he is the authorizer of the committee. And we talked about the purpose, 21-22 school year, for at least those 2 facilities, and then elementary 17 to follow with a date certain. Dr. we have talked about the meeting dates, but if not, they're on the charter as well. We'll see. I've finished these as short as 4 meetings and as long as 10. It all depends on the content area and of course how many buildings you're opening up at a given time. So parameters. Though you, I think it's important that obviously you're representing your school. We would like you to take a step back and remember that this is a district-wide boundary change, that it will affect lots of students and staff, because eventually staff will follow students as they move. So yes, we appreciate when you advocate and articulate the need and rationale for certain neighborhoods to go to certain schools. But then also you do have a charge as a member to look more holistically across the district. And, we like to have numeric balance if we can, clean feeder patterns, et cetera. Those are all goals of the committee. You'll hear a lot about busing, like, why did you draw the boundary this way? And we'll say, well, a lot of it has to do with transportation and our timing of transportation. This is also a very unique year, and we'll talk about it when we get to the spring proposal for enrollment. Very uncertain times on the enrollment front. We had 1,000 student drop, mostly due to COVID. And of course, we had to build some assumptions in as we go forward for those boundaries. So one important limitation, a few things I want to get on the table right away of what you're not supposed to do. This is not a high school boundary discussion. That will happen later. We'll bring a high school boundary committee together and we will focus on the high school boundary. Given that we have a planned date, but not a date certain yet, as we're still in process for permitting. And just the fact that having high schools and elementary and middle in a Zoom environment may have been a little bit unwieldy for a size of committee. We chose to focus on K-8 and then we moved to high school. So not part of the boundary process. Josh, anything there on?
That's good.
Placement of program. You will notice as we get to the springboard proposal, and I'll walk you through the spreadsheet so you can understand my thinking, or maybe you can articulate to me a better way to disclose the information. The administration reserves the right, in this case, to place programs. So by program, I mean our certain special education programs like LRC2, Merlin in the elementary level, science tech, etc. Language immersion as an example. Those are all administratively selected. And so they're not part of the boundary process. So you'll just be focused on the boundary catchment area of your building. Grandfathering of students. Also not part of your purview. I want to let you know historically, the district does not grandfather boundaried students. The one exception would be high school seniors. Of course, that is an exception we've made back in 96 or 7 whenever we opened Skyline. But I believe that is one of the few exceptions. Grandfathering in of students and or siblings, etc. We have learned over the years that if you grandfather a significant chunk of students, it can take years for your boundaries to actually come together because you have siblings that roll through the system and it can take a long time for your schools to right size themselves. So currently there will be no grandfathering. Anything else on the charter? I believe I have covered the charter. We have the membership, the community involvement. If you need any assistance on feedback loops to your community, so if you get an email and it's technical in nature, or you want assistance with answering that, or you get a phone call from a parent because they watch us on YouTube and they were concerned about the way the committee was heading, feel free to send an email to the technical team, anybody on there, including myself and Dr. Almy. I believe our contact information is on the roster portion of the page. You can email us and we'll assist you with that community feedback. Okay, Dr. Almy, is there anything else on the charter and the operating norms that we'd like to cover?
Yeah, and like I said earlier, like Jake just said earlier, if you have questions in between, you can always direct those towards myself and Jake or a member of the technical team. We will get you whatever answers that we can in a timely manner. But if you also, come in when you're out in the community and whatnot and interacting with folks who have feedback, at the bottom of that webpage is that email address. We are taking feedback all throughout this process, and we'll be giving all of that feedback to all of our committee members. So you will see that, which is a great segue into the next piece, which is community stakeholder feedback and committee information. Like I said, in the past, when we've done these boundary reviews, folks have shown up if they want to, a little bit early to, let's say a meeting were to start at 6 o'clock, a traditional boundary review committee in the past, and everyone would have a binder. And our technical team would take all of the communications that had come in the past 2 weeks. They would print those out and they would put those in each person's binder. And then they would be able to review all of that information. And they could take that binder home with them if they would like, and they could review it over the next few weeks afterwards. So that folks who are on the committee would always have the information that was coming in from the community based on the work that the committee was doing. Well, we're not in person, so that's not going to be an option. But our plan is this, and Jake, I'm going to go over what our plan is and fill in some blanks here if there's something that I missed. But our plan is, as all of that information is coming in, we are going to put that all into a PDF and get it out to you Tuesday afternoon of the committee, of the weeks of the committee meetings. For example, our next committee meeting is December 17th. That means that our plan would be on Tuesday afternoon, which would be December 15th. You will get a PDF email that will have all of the emails that have come in for feedback for you to review over the next 2 days before our committee meeting. And then Jake, what was our plan for the Tuesday evening, Wednesday, and Thursday morning for the things that would come in during those times? Did we settle in on how we would get that information out to folks, or would that just roll into the next 2 weeks later?
Doctor, I think it depends on the volume. If we have just a few emails sprinkle in between that Tuesday afternoon and the start of our Thursday meeting, we'll try to send those over to the committee. But that would be the goal. They might miss the cutoff. However, we would like to provide you as much information as possible. So we'll do our best, even if we have to do a second batch to try to get you current information. We'll also make an attempt to get committee materials to you by Tuesday or Wednesday if there's some major alterations to that. This meeting, of course, you'll have quite a bit of homework during your break period, given all the numbers and capacities provided. So I think that's where we ended up, Dr. Almy.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's how we're going to plan, and we will monitor and adjust throughout the process. Obviously, we are new to running a boundary review on Zoom, so we did our very best to try to put all the details in place. There will be details that we will learn along the way that we'll need to put into place as well. So bear with us, and we appreciate your patience and grace as we work through this process alongside you. Transitioning now, how to do a boundary review in a virtual setting. That's what we're trying to do right now. We are going to do our very best to incorporate two pieces into this process. Number one is breakout rooms. Well, if we were in person, your breakout room would be a table. You would be at a table with a group of people discussing different things and reporting back to the group, and we would take whatever actions that the group thought was necessary. We are going to do our best to instead of in that we can't have those at tables, we can have them in breakout rooms. So like I said earlier, we have broken everyone up into breakout groups, and you will be getting in those actually shortly here for our first breakout room and discussing certain things. And in a few minutes, I'll explain what you'll be discussing in your first breakout room. But one other thing we wanted to mention in this process is how motions are made. And Jake, I know that you were going to talk a little bit about the process that we've used in the past of how do we make a motion? How do we second it? How do we vote on it? Well, why don't you talk about that a little bit, Jake?
You bet. So I know a lot of folks are familiar with Robert's rules. You've heard my joke before. Basically, run the committee with Bob's rules, not as strict as Robert's. We will try to follow obviously some decorum. We'll take a motion. We would always appreciate a second, and then often discussion, and then eventually we'll call for the vote. So not strict Robert's rules, no tabling, no amending. It gets a little complicated. You can amend, we can handle that. But we are not parliamentarians by any means. So we will try our best to kind of have some decorum as we move forward, motions, and then second in discussing. So that's basically how we've always operated. It seems to keep the committee flowing. And of course, one thing I didn't mention is the technical team is non-voting. Dr. Almy and I have no vote in this. So there's only 40 votes. Which is important as Dr. Almy talks about this next point, but I did want to make you realize that my technical team and facilitators do not have a vote in the process. So I think we are ready to talk about the main rooms in the chat now. That's possible.
Yeah, I wanted to mention one more thing. It was on the website and whatnot, and I should have gone over it under agenda review and meeting. But we do have 5 meetings scheduled. Okay, today is the first one. Our second one is in 2 weeks. It's December 17th. Our third meeting will be again on a Thursday, which will be January 7th. We've done our best to schedule our boundary review committee meetings on the weeks that we do not have school board meetings. So the third meeting will be January 7th. The fourth meeting will be January 21st. And our final scheduled meeting will be February 4th. So right now we have 5 meetings on the books. That's all that stuff's on the website. And I know that we've sent that out to you, but I just wanted to reiterate that again about the 5 meetings that we have on the books. So now we'd like to attempt to go into our first breakout room and give each group a charge. What is that charge, you might ask? Well, we do need to come to consensus on 2 things, which are, number 1, what constitutes a quorum? And when we say that, we mean, what is the minimum amount of people that need to be at a meeting where we would take a vote to take action on something? Okay. We have 40 voting members. So how many of the 40 need to be present? That's what that quorum would be. Now, so when you go into your groups, that's the first thing that we want you to talk about is what do you believe is a good number to constitute a quorum for this group? Now, before you do, as the creative juices start flowing around what that would be, when we have done levy and boundary committees, when we have done our bond committees in the past, we've had some numbers that have worked really well. That is, these are not etched in stone. These are for you to talk about. But for the quorum, the committees that we have worked with in the past have typically landed on a 70%. That's a 70. 70% minimum folks would have to be there in order to take a vote. That is not etched in stone. I share that with you just because that is a percentage that groups before you have used. What is 70% of 40? Well, it's 28. So the 70% quorum is something that has been used in the past, but that's something that we want you to talk about in your groups. What would constitute a quorum? The second piece that we want you to talk about in your group is what percentage would be needed to pass a measure? Okay, how many people would need to vote for a measure in order for it to pass? In the past, those groups that I've talked about, bond and levy committees, boundary review committees, have typically gone on a 75%, a 3/4, a 75% percentage for passage. What would 75% of a 40-person group be? That would be 30. You would need 30 votes out of 40 for 75%. I want to say it again and not sound like a broken record, though. That 75% is not written in stone. That is just a percentage that folks have used in the past, committees have used in the past that has worked well. So the 2 things that we want you to talk about in your breakout rooms are, number 1, what would a quorum be for this group? What is your group's recommendation? And again, that quorum is how many people must be present to take a vote of the 40. And number 2, what is the percentage of passage or the threshold for passage to pass a measure? What do you think that would be? Now, remember, the threshold for passage is based on the quorum. So let's say, for example, there were 30 people present, and that met a quorum standard, whatever you folks end up with. 75%, if that were an amount, that would be 22 people. 22 people would need to vote for. So that threshold of passage is based on the quorum amount. So think about that in your conversations. It's not always based on 40. It's based on the percentage of people that are present for the vote. So that's one kind of detail that you have to talk through in your groups. One final piece. You have a third charge here in your groups. You need a spokesperson. We need a spokesperson who can speak for the group when we come back into the general meeting. So, principals, if no one jumps at that, I would hope that one of our principals would step up and take a leadership role if nobody else wants to do it, but we'll leave that up to the groups. Yep. So, with that, number one.
Dr. Olney, before we launch over, a few things. Historically, we have not allowed any proxy votes, so please do not bring up that question. Must be present to win. I just wanted to let you know. I very rarely will give you a direction like that, but I have learned over the years that proxy votes just cause more issues than they're worth. And then I think, Dr. Olney, you were going to talk about their first decision has what threshold?
51. Yes. Thank you, CFO Cooper. We don't have a threshold right now until you come up with one. Therefore, we did have to make an executive decision on how we were at least going to get to that. So for tonight, in establishing our quorum and establishing our threshold for passage, we are going to go with a simple majority. It is the only time we are going to go with a simple majority through this whole committee. Everything else will be based off of the quorum, and the quorum is here tonight because all 40 people are here, so that's great. But the threshold, the percentage to pass, whatever the quorum is going to be and whatever the threshold is going to be a simple majority. It's the only time that we will do that, but we have to do it once. Jake, did that answer that question?
I believe it did.
Okay, so last time, 3 things that we need to accomplish in our breakout groups. What the quorum should be out of 40 people, what our percentage of passage should be for a measure, and who a group spokesperson would be. And without further ado, Stephen Collins, are you with us?
Yep, I'm ready.
Stephen Collins is our tech expert on our technical team. Stephen, we didn't get a chance to introduce you, and I apologize. Stephen, tell us who you are, what you do, and how many years you've been in the Issaquah School District.
Hello, everybody. Stephen Collins, 9 years with the district. I work in the IT department as the AV project manager. Lately, I'm mostly the Zoom guy.
Thank you. Also an ISD product, Skyline High School grad.
Dr. Olney, do you have a time of how long they're going to be in the breakout room?
Yes. We're going to keep you in the breakout room for 15 minutes. We will come and report back on that. And if we need to go back into breakout rooms, we should have a little bit of time to do that, but we'll see how that goes. So without further ado, Mr. Collins, if you could push people into breakout rooms, they have their mission, and we'll see folks in about 15 minutes.
Thank you. I think it looks right on who's left. Technical team and a few observers. I think that's what we've got.
I think we're good. Yeah. Okay, so 7. Stephen, are you there?
He sent himself away, apparently. There he is.
Yeah.
Okay, so 7:10 will bring folks back, and we'll see where we are.
Yeah, I just said they're going to automatically close it in 15 minutes. Like you said, so at 15 minutes, they should all just pop back in.
All right, perfect.
If they don't.
Do we, Stephen, would we normally continue live streaming